You are listening to the Better 2 podcast with DM Needham. Hi, gang. Donna here. Thanks for tuning into the Better 2 podcast. Today's guest is John Wayne S. III. John takes us on a journey to when he was a struggling Chicago actor. He had made the choice to work with a photographer. He had begged and pleaded to work with this one photographer. But at the same time, he got a call to be a feature on a little TV show called ER. You may remember that show back then, George Clooney and all. Anyway, he takes us on a journey of his choice and what he decided to do, and if he actually ever looks back and thinks about that choice. We end up talking about the universe and so much more, as well as his feature that he has recently produced and is available on multiple streaming platforms, Ebony Hustle. So enjoy the show. This episode of the Better 2 podcast is brought to you by Kitty Mystic and DM Needham, author of My Days with the Dark Muse, as well as Love is Worth Waiting For. Hi, John. How are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Now, in your information you sent over to me, you said that you had Chicago roots. Where are you located now?
I live in Texas. I live in Houston particularly. I've been here for about 16, 17 years. I came here to work on a show for Fox. After I did, it was a courtroom show. After I did that for a cycle show, I realized I didn't want to be cold anymore. So then I went back to Chicago.
It's kind of funny because I moved up here to become an actress. So, from New Orleans. So there you go. It's like everybody thinks, oh, I need to move to Los Angeles to follow my dream. Not really anymore.
Yeah.
Not really.
I realized that once I realized I didn't want to be cold, and I also realized that everywhere is a plane ride away. And I could just go on a plane and go places.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So you had an opportunity when you were in Chicago to take on a featured role on ER.
Yes.
But so you had to make a choice. So how did this all come about? I mean, I know how it works, but for the listeners at home, they may not.
So before getting behind the camera, I was an actor, and I did a lot of movies and television and stuff like that, and commercials. So I got a casting director this is before ER was the big show that it is now. It was just a show they was shooting there for him to see. You didn't know what was going to really happen, but it was just a show. And a casting director called me and said that they wanted me to do a bit part for an ambulance driver. And the day they wanted to do was on the day that I had scheduled this shoot with this photographer, which I have been trying to get this guy to shoot me for the longest. And so when she said it, I said, oh, I got something to do on that day. And she's like, well, I said, I'll take some pictures. I said, she asked me, did I want to still do it? I said, no, I think I'm going to take the pictures. And she said, are you sure? And I said, yes, I am. So confidently,
Uh-huh.
As I look back at this today, I think about, I was young and not really seeing the bigger picture. And sometimes you make those decisions. I was just telling someone else a similar thing that happened at the same type of moment when I started to do direct music videos. I come from a day where we have VHS tapes. So you have to send all these tapes to everybody. And so I sent one to Cash Money Records, which is where Lil Wayne is at. I sent it to, this is before they got the deal with Universal. And so I sent him the reel. He calls me back and said, I like your work. Do you want to do some music videos? And I said, sure. He said, but I want to tell you, we're not doing music videos in film. We're doing it on video. And I come from film. And I said, okay, fine. I said, I'll call you later. And when I got off the phone, I said, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with doing videos on video. I'm not dealing with that. And then like a month or two later, they got the deal with Universal. And so it's one of those things where you're young and not being able to see the bigger picture to stuff and not taking opportunities, but it was a lesson learned, always looking from the aspect of that always seem to be in situations with great opportunities, great people. So people look at me in a really great way. It's just up to me to take the opportunity to advance.
Did you ever go back and look at the person that played the ambulance driver? I mean, I know that's hard because there's so many ambulance drivers.
You know what? I never did. It wasn't until years later that I thought about it. so I would have no idea what episode it would be on.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that there's some ambulance driver that is on ER that has had a consistent role, when the show was on all the time, they kept going back to this ambulance driver because they're at a hospital. So the likelihood of you seeing the same ambulance driver is pretty, that can happen. So who knows? But I work on the realm of everything is not for me. Maybe it was not for me to do that. Maybe that was not then. There could have been some other things that I would have to give up. There would be some other things I may have to do. So I look at it from that aspect. I was in the grocery store not too long ago, and I was going down the aisle, and this older woman, she was putting these big cases of water into her cart. And the pallet only had like 3 cases left. So I said, do you need some help? She said, yes. So I helped her put all the cases in the water in her cart. And I laughed, and she said, what? I said, I actually wanted one of these waters, but that, don't worry about it. She said, oh, no, you can have it. I said, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. So about 5 minutes later, she finds me in the store. And she says, I feel so bad. Do I want to give you water? And I said, ma'am, everything is not for me. You got here, you got the waters. That could have been 100 reasons why I shouldn't have got the water, but that was for you. It wasn't for me. So I try to look at that way. And that way I won't feel like disappointed if something happens. It was just not for me. It was meant for somebody else. Why do I have all the good stuff and no bad stuff? This is the way life is. People always want good, but we're all entitled to a little bad too sometimes. The idea of the water is not a big thing. Just the idea that it was not for me. You got the water. You got there first. It's okay.
I get it. And I mean, that's the thing. When we try to talk about manifesting things, everybody's talking about positive and everything. And they don't understand that you're going to have, there's a cost. And I hate to say it that way, but there's a cost sometimes for the good. Yeah. And you're never going to grow if you don't have those negative experiences. If you just go through life with everything being perfect, you don't, there's no growth. There's no growth at all.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I applaud you for your perspective, because sometimes, people just think, a prime example of this is when years ago, and I know this is going to age this, but there was this thing called Zuzu Pets, the popular kid toy. And we had a niece that really wanted them. And so my husband and I went to Toys R Us, and he was 6'2", he had a cane, and they opened the doors, and all these women are just clamoring to get it. It's on a higher shelf. Well, they can't get to the further back. And my husband gets us one, and then we continue to take them down. Not one person said thank you. We gave them to them, but not one person said thank you. I mean, we could have taken them and sold them on eBay.
Yes.
But we got what we wanted, and that was all that matters. And the only thing that I would say is somebody's got gratitude, like she chased you down to give you water. Even though you may not have accepted it, you could still see that she did have some regret and gratitude that you helped her.
Yes. Yeah. And it was just really amazing. It bothered her enough. I think she was actually probably more confused why I said no. But I explained to her, I said, everything is just not for me, and it's okay. But you're right. Sometimes we're so focused sometimes in our world. When I was younger, and I used to work for a record label, and we were doing a lot of traveling. I was in London, and they have a place called Piccadilly Circus, which is like the equivalent of London Times Square. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, this is the moment of clarity. I'm looking at all the lights and everything, all the people, just tons of people walking around. And I realized at that moment that if I fell down and died right now, it wouldn't really make a difference to a whole bunch of other people's lives. So I'm so small in the bigger significance of the universe. It's important that I provide and give back to the universe, but I'm not just so big that I make the universe. I'm just a part of the universe. I'm doing my small part to make things move forward. And whatever I can do to make things move forward, that's what I want to do. I am not the center of anything. Maybe my daughter's life, I may be the center, I would like to think. But she has her own agenda and idea. She's 14 years old, a teenager. So it's like, I'm going to do this for daddy, but I got some other things I want to do. So I'm not the center of anything. Whenever somebody works with me, I feel humble because there's no requirement for you to work with me. There's no reason why, only because you want to. So I'm humble when people say yes, they want to collaborate, they want to do things with me. I'm very humble by that because you can always say no.
It's true.
Because every time somebody says yes to someone, they probably said no to somebody else. So I'm thankful for that.
And that's the thing. It's like there's a couple of things I can unpack here. There's the expectation thing that you have expectations for your daughter, but you also you're also aware enough the fact that she's got her own expectations and she's going to live life the way she's going to live it, especially nowadays. Our old expectations don't necessarily play well in the social media age. And, we are the small cog in a much bigger picture, and most people don't see that. It's kind of like I've talked to several people about this, the fact that, we go on to these political meme wars on Facebook. Well, I'm going to post this and I'm going to share this. And I realize at a certain point, I'm not changing anybody's point of view. And why am I wasting my time getting all hothead or upset about somebody else's point of view?
Yeah.
It's not going to change them.
And they're entitled to it.
Right. And the thing is, we all have to realize that we're human and that really the divisiveness doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yes. It's a distraction. And a lot of times we are distracted by things. So it always makes me wonder when media and stuff puts out these things to distract us, what's really going on? Why are you keeping us so distracted that we can't really focus on, just like you said, I'm a human, you're a human. The one thing I feel like most humans want to have, no matter where you come from, they all want to be heard. They all want to be seen. And if you satisfy those basic things, even in their small world and the larger world in general, people traditionally get along with each other. People scream louder because they feel like nobody's listening to them. Kids act out because they feel like nobody's paying attention to them. People do vile things because they feel like nobody understands them. So if people spend a little bit more time either being kind to people or just listening, or just like when you're in the store and just saying thank you, those things, people can deal with big things, but it's the little things that mess up relationships. It's like if you're married to someone, this person can cheat and do a whole bunch of stuff, but if he leave the toothpaste tube off, I got to get rid of them. I got to get rid of them, So people can deal with big stuff. It's the little things. So those little things add up. And if we understand the thank yous and holding the door for people or just letting them get all the water, that means a lot to people and their biggest significance in their life. And people always trying to do the grand thing, or I always use the example of this. As humans, we believe that we are so important to the bigger scheme of things. But what if your whole point, let's just say, for example, let's just use President Obama. He's in Chicago. He's not the president, just a regular guy. He's walking down the street with his headphones on. And he gets to the corner, and a guy is standing next to him, and a car is about to come. He's about to step out, and he holds him back. And he says, hey, what happened? He said, oh, this guy was the car, but he's okay, thank you. And they go on about their life. What was that was your only purpose in life? The reason why you were born? To keep him from being hit.
You're preaching to the choir here, because I can sit here and talk about the fact that when we were moving into this house, I was carrying out a glass doll cabinet and the lid fell off. The glass lid slid off and shattered on the stoop at the other house. And my husband's like, just leave it. And I'm like, no, we're not going to just leave it. Let me pick it up because there's kids in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So I picked it up, cleaned it up, finished loading the car. And as we were driving, there was a light that turned yellow right in front of the college, one of the community colleges here. And I hit my brakes, and the idiot behind me, who was doing 60 because he was rushing to a court date to prove that he had insurance for a motorcycle accident he had been in, rear-ended us. Mm. Now, had we not been there, because as soon as the light changed, this kid pulled out right in front of us, he would have been T-boned, possibly killed, if not seriously injured. Yeah. So, and yes, the accident affected my husband more than it affected me, and it had issues. But the fact of the matter is, it's like he could still function. He was still alive. That kid, and while we're playing what if, there's a good chance at 60 mile an hour, a side impact, T-boned, you're not going to survive. And if you do, you're going to be seriously injured. So I completely understand that 5 seconds difference leaving the house can change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't look at that. They don't see that necessarily.
Mm-hmm. They don't pay attention to just the world around us because we spend so much time being disconnected to the world around us. We're getting feed from so many different places that we don't really, because your body and the universe will tell you. You know how times when you keep leaving the house and coming back for stuff, the universe said, hey, you're going too fast.
Mm-hmm.
I need for you to be somewhere at a certain time, but you keep trying to go fast. So I'm going to keep sending you back to the house to get this, get that, get this, until you can kind of slow down, you know? And you're right, because there are times where I've met people, I've gone to the grocery store and I've seen people I ain't seen in a long time. And if I hadn't done whatever I was doing before, I wouldn't have seen them. If I had just been 1 second or turned my head slightly one way, I would not have seen them. So sometimes you just got to kind of stop and just kind of like live at the moment and stop being such a rush. I try to do that. I really honestly try, but sometimes life just, makes decisions for me that I don't necessarily want to make. But, it's like anything, being on a path, as long as you have a path, if you fall off, you can get back on the path,
Mm-hmm.
So that's very insightful. And sometimes that whole breaking the glass thing, at the moment, you're upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, when you saw the glass was half full instead of half empty, it makes you, reflect. It really makes you reflect.
Well, and I mean, going back to what you're saying about the grocery store, I had gone down to New Orleans to visit family, and we were going out to this place that's about 45 minutes outside of New Orleans to go have some seafood. And it's not in a popular place. It's just like this little man shack is this little small town where there's not a lot of people. And my husband and I are driving out there, and I said to him, out of everybody I wanted to see, I wish I could have seen my Aunt Sandy. Now, mind you, I'm meeting my uncle, her ex-husband there. They talk, but they don't hang out. So we get there and we go ahead and get our table because we're waiting. And I go in the bathroom and I look in the mirror, and there's my Aunt Sandra. And I'm just like, Aunt Sandy? And she's like, yeah. So it was just kind of like, how weird if we would have been later, if we would have, I wouldn't have seen her. If I would have got up to go to the bathroom in that moment, I would not have seen her most likely. Yeah. So that's the thing. There are people that say, oh, it's just a coincidence. I don't necessarily believe that everything is a coincidence, because there's too many things in that have happened in my life that have led me on a path. I mean, for me, and we're going to talk about your movie shortly, but for me, I answered an ad in the Chicago Reader for a television actress part. So I started on this whole path because I was an actress, and I auditioned with somebody that was in Tony and Tina's wedding. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to get the part. I got the part. And then the production just kept changing. Somebody died. The production went through 3 or 4 different incarnations. And finally, I was a line producer. The last production we did, I was the line producer, which the line producer then entailed catering and making sure we had all the props and the scripts and paying bills. And basically, I was the Girl Friday of the crew.
Yes, I understand.
I know you do. But, and that's the thing. It's like nobody understands how much work goes into, I would say, any kind of creative endeavor. If you're trying to really put stock in it, if you're a writer, which I know you are, if you're a television producer, all those things, while it's an hour of your time to enjoy it, it takes a lot more time to put it together.
Yeah. And a lot of times when people don't understand how long it takes to bring things to fruition, once you get to the point to where somebody says, yes, I think we're going to do that, the whole process of actually getting it done. I remember I did a commercial in Chicago that I produced and wrote, and I shot it in my parents' house. And there's no this time, this is early in my career, they really didn't understand, what is he doing? He just, and they left and they came back later on the day, we were still shooting. It's like, wow, how long does it take to shoot a 30-second commercial? Because they think in their mind, it's 30 seconds. I said, Daddy, it takes a lot, more than what people know, and so the whole process of producing that idea of coming up with a creative concept that you can bring to life is a process within itself. I tell people that most of my time is, although they see me shooting stuff and everything, that's like 15% of my time. The rest of it is computer, paperwork, and meetings. I do that more than I do anything else, just so I can have that moment, those couple of weeks of actually shooting something,
when we shot the TV show, I mean, I used to joke that it was a 24/7 job, and everybody's like, no, no. And when we wrapped production, half the crew went on a camping trip. I went home. I ended up with the flu and sleeping on my couch for 3 days because I wore myself out. But you want to know something? It was the best summer job I ever had.
I know.
I mean, there's nothing like seeing your creation.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Did you do any extra work on The Negotiator, My Best Friend's Wedding? Either of those movies?
No.
Just curious.
I'm 51, so
I'm 54.
Yeah. So it's like the movies that I've done, especially during that time I was doing, that's like I worked on Heaven Was a Playground, Gabriel's Fire. So it was doing that particular area. So most people don't even remember those movies whatsoever. And commercials that I did, stuff that don't come on anymore. But it was doing doing it. I was younger, so this is like 30 years ago. It was what made me move into behind the scenes. A couple of things. One, I was going to, because I wasn't trying to be a filmmaker. I was trying to be. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a gerontologist. And so I was in school, and it was like I needed to start figuring out where I'm going to go to medical school. And so this production manager called me and said that I had left a message on the answer machine for an independent movie. And I was like, no, I didn't. She's like, yes, you did. And at the time, I was a manager at a parking garage. I was going to college and I was manager at this sale parking garage in Lincoln Park. And so at the time, I had just lost my job, which I was very heartbroken about. I was getting unemployment. And I always liked movies and stuff like that, And so I was like, what can I lose? I'll go in. It was for a second assistant director's position. So I went there with a suit and tie on, talked to the first assistant director, which after about 5 minutes, you realized I couldn't help him do nothing because I didn't know how to do anything. But she called me back about a week later and said, I can't give you that job because you can't help us. But I have a production assistant's job in the art department because the guy that they hired, he's from Canada and he didn't have a U.S. driver's license. Truth be told, mine was suspended at the time. So, but you always say yes and you work it out later.
Well, and here's the thing. That is the nature of the entertainment industry. I mean, how many things? Oh, I rode a horse once. Yes, let me put horseback riding on my resume. But here's the thing. Once again, no, here's an opportunity and you jumped at it this time. You didn't say no and it changed your life.
It did. And I worked on that movie. Ironically enough, this is just the way the universe worked. It was director George Tillman's first film out of film school. He did Man of Barn. He's done all the barbershop movies, done the tours. He's done a lot of big movies since then. But he did this movie called Scenes for the Souls, his first film out of film school. I didn't know who he was. I was just working on a movie. I met another guy on there who didn't go to film school either. He went like a community workshop for filmmaking. And during this time, if you want to do music videos, you either went to New York or LA. You didn't go, there was nobody in the middle of the country really doing music videos. But people were spending lots of money. People spend like $20,000, $30,000 for songs that weren't even on the radio. So we decided that we were going to do music videos. So we started doing all these music videos. Fast forward, I had been doing it for a while, and we were doing the music videos. We were on like 55th and State in Chicago. It's for this rap video. And I'm in the van doing the paperwork, and I remembered something. When I was in third grade, we had this assembly program where I don't think they do it now. Like they have a popular song and then the kids perform to the popular song. So this song was the Stylistics, People Make the World Go Round. And so everybody had to get up there and say what is they want to be make grow. I don't know what made me do this, but I told my mother I wanted to be a film producer. So she got me like this Indiana Jones had this slate. So when they got to me and said, I want to be a film producer, and I clapped the slate. After that, I never thought about it ever again. But at that moment, when I was doing that paperwork in that van, I remembered that I was doing what I wanted to do when I was in third grade. And at that moment, I realized that I'm on the correct path, that I am actually doing what I need to do. Nice.
And I have to say, you said your commercials don't air anymore, but Victory Auto Records still
Are they still showing that same commercial?
I saw it. I want to say last time I saw it, because I haven't really watched any local news, was about 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, really? I'm like, they have gotten some mileage out of that. I mean, then of course there used to be the Eagle Man.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I haven't seen that one in a
Look at
while.
those low rates.
Yeah. Those two were around for a long time. Victory, like I said, last time I saw it was 2 years ago, but I haven't watched any local TV in a while. But yeah, that was low budget all the way.
I think the only thing that are probably still showing us today from that market, and now they've franchised everywhere, is the Empire commercial.
Yeah.
Because Empire is like everywhere now. It's
and they made the guy who passed away into a cartoon.
Yes, they made it to a cartoon. So they're using the cartoon. They still using the same like 588-2300 Empire. The only thing they do now is that they add the area code or the 800 that somebody voiced that in the ad. But that commercial and another commercial, national commercial, they still use this to this day. The Primatine Mist commercial with the women who played on the Fresh Prince. The clothes that she had on is very classic, and you can't really tell, so they just probably colorize a little bit. But they've been running that commercial at least about 20 years. It's like they keep running the same Primatine Mist commercial. But if it works,
Well, that was like the whole holiday Rolaids ad,
Yes.
I mean, and then they had the Santa on the shaver. That was another ad that ran forever. So, but that's not what we came to talk about. We came to talk about your movie.
Yes.
So let's talk about Ebony Hustle.
Okay. Ebony Hustle is about an ex-stripper turned private investigator. So it's kind of like, you remember the Rockford Files? Mm-hmm. So you know how he went to jail for something he said he didn't commit. Then he got out and decided to be a private investigator. But he used people that he knew when he was in jail to help him, do certain things. So Ebony does the same thing. She looks for people that have been other strippers, bouncers to help her solve cases. What she does on an everyday basis is she does insurance fraud or disability claim. So someone will come to her and say, let's go and see if this person really deserves this claim. And she goes, stakes them out to kind of see if they has a legitimate claim. On this particular day, a woman from the neighborhood comes to her and asks her to help her. Her 16-year-old daughter went to a concert to see this guy named Caleb Truth. Caleb Truth is an ex-gangster rapper turned pastor. He's like a mix between R. Kelly and Kanye West. He likes young girls, but he got a God complex, which is not a really good combination. And she went to go see him at a concert 3 months ago, and she never came back home. And Ebony's like, well, I don't do missing kids cases. She said, basically, if you don't help me, because nobody's listening because he's famous, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so through a series of events, she decides to go help her and get the daughter back, So this movie came from, because I wasn't necessarily setting out trying to do, this type of movie per se. But the distributor, Maverick, they had come to me that they wanted to do kind of like a Foxy Brown type thing. Okay. And so we tried to find those old exploitation movies with something, what would that person look like today? And so we came up with something who was an ex-stripper turned private investigator. So she is like this strong woman-led, like she knows what she wants. She doesn't need anybody to tell her what she wants to do. She's very clear about that. But like every great superhero, she has a flaw. And her flaw is she likes young guys. She can't get enough of them. So what happens when she's doing everything she needs to get done, what happens is that she gets distracted and things always happen bad because she's looking at these young guys. She knows how to use, guys to get what she wants, but sometimes with the young guys, she gets distracted and things happen. So that's what the movie is about. It has been it came out December the 1st on Tubi with a partnership with Tubi. It's now it's on Amazon, Hoopla, and Vudu. And in January, they're going to be on several other platforms. So it has been really received. It's been trending actually on Tubi. Nice. It's been trending. So that's we're really happy about that. And people keep asking me about it. There is going to be an Ebony Hustle 2. We've already got a scenario and everything, but it's been a really great ride. Outside of the great movie and the great actors like Michelle Lamb plays Ebony Hustle, we have a really great soundtrack. I really connected some really great indie artists, gave them opportunity to do. A lot of times, we always do original movies for all of the stuff we do. And a lot of times you get artists and you try to say, I need for you to write this for this particular scene or this thing. Sometimes it's hard for them to do it. But they came to play. They really did exactly what we need to do. All the songs fit perfectly in their each scene. And they really put their all into it. I'm proud of the movie, but I'm really proud of the soundtrack and things we did. The other thing we did with this movie is that a lot of times, most movies have a lot of product placement. You see product placement in most big movies. And most of the time you get your script and you send it to an agency, and they usually find people, who pretty much can pay the fee, whatever you're trying to pay. But this time I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to rely on the agency. I wanted to place product placement in there that made sense for the scene. That was not so obvious, but I wanted it to make sense. So we reached out to, I probably talked to 200 or 300 medium to small businesses that have really strong products and really strong social media. And we partnered with them. So we were able to find 9 companies that products are integrated into from. There's a guy in Guidance Whiskey in Kentucky. There's this guy on the West Coast, a young guy. He's in his 20s that owns a head gaming company.
Okay.
So it's a variety of different. There's a couple in Atlanta that has a vitamin, not just putting a name on something, they actually manufacture vitamins. So we tried to find people that would work really well with what we're trying to do, but at the same time that it would make sense to the storyline. So when you go look at it, it's not so, it's like, nothing against Transformers, but you see Transformers and they're fighting in front of Taco Bell,
Yeah.
know what's going there. This is, Ebony is exercise, she takes her vitamins. That's something normally somebody would do, but it's from the vitamin company,
Yeah.
So we really tried to do so. I really wanted to try to make this project to really come together for people. A lot of times when you do movies, people are so focused on getting the big names and the big stuff on there, but there are a lot of great small and medium-sized companies who get really great product, and they just need the exposure because they can't afford to pay those fees. This movie was done for less than $20,000 in 7 days.
Wow. We put with marketing and 6 episodes, it was 200,000, and that was back in 1997. Yeah. So that's incredible that you were able to do that.
Yeah. So I've done movies. My other movie I did, I Read All Over. We spent a lot of money on that one. But this movie, the fact that it only cost about $20,000, a little bit more than $20,000, and we did it in 7 days. That was like really a really big thing, and I can't even stress enough the crew that worked on that. You know how you work on something and people come and they're working on a project because basically they just want to get the check. When somebody says yes to me, they're not so much buying into my product, they're really buying into whatever I'm trying to do in the bigger picture. So these crew people that worked on this set, they liked the idea, they liked the story, they liked where I was going and see the bigger vision. So we didn't have really big budgets to work with, but they came to work every day, really long hours. They came to work every day. And I'm so appreciative of that, because I don't think just the feel, if they hadn't come there and had that feeling of a family or of one group and team, then I don't think we would be able to do it within that period of time.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. If you don't have that team and that unit spirit when you're doing these kind of productions, it falls flat.
Yeah,
it does, because I mean, I was willing to do what I did for that amount of time because I felt like I had a family.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily, even though it was a lot of work, it didn't always feel like work because, number one, you got to participate and see something build and something grow. And then you had the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
So I get
that's really hard to get. That's really hard, because I've worked on lots of things where, you kind of like, okay, let's just come to work. And I worked on some things was like, man, I can't believe this is over with. Can we do something else next week? Because I don't want this feeling to end. And that's like, in the day and age where people are so disconnected and people are really so focused on what they're doing, to try to find that way, that little capsule, that time period is really hard. And we did this movie during COVID.
Wow.
We did this during COVID. And
but we're still in COVID.
Yeah, technically, yeah. I guess we are still in COVID. So this is before they had vaccines. They didn't really know what they were going to do. And there were some things we couldn't do in the story just because a lot of places were closed. But, like I tell my writing partner all the time, I tell her that when we're shooting something that don't go away, I said, only people know it's me and you. Nobody else knows. The audience is like, why didn't they go to that 7-Eleven down the street? Nobody knows. Only we know. So it's okay,
As a writer, I understand. And now for the trailer of Ebony Hustle. If you're on our YouTube channel, you can check it out. If you're listening to the podcast, well, head on over to YouTube.
If you don't find him guilty of something today, I'm going to have my Hustle does your job for half of what I pay you.
I need you to go and get my baby back. Please help me.
The people love the guy, and I love him back, wholeheartedly.
Caleb Truth really is the truth. I know that girl.
Found something, but can't the God I know. Need that.
You wrote this and you have a co-writer, correct?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have two for this. For Ebony Hustle, we have two writing parts: Nia Cachet and Frank Overton. So when the distributor came with this concept, we came back, with the whole, ex-stripper and those two. They're very instrumental. Frank is very good with structure, and Nia is very good with dialogue. I'm very good with ideas. I'm a very good idea man. I do write. I wish I could do a lot of physical writing more, but the time doesn't do that. But I have two really great writing partners who really bring their part in. Also had a great producing partner, Kathy Sapp. Kathy Sapp, I'm so blessed for her to work with me. Now, Kathy has worked on some really big stuff. She comes from courtroom television. So she's done a lot of big courtroom television. Kathy's personal reference is Michael Eisner, her personal reference. So the fact that she actually agreed to work with me on this, I'm really honored that she would do that, So I had a lot of things just kind of lined up on this project. Even with the director that I chose, I did a couple of episodes of a indie TV series, international series a couple of years ago, and I met Jameis Hampton. And the reason why I chose him to direct is for this, but when I was doing a project, I was in Atlanta, I was on a press junket, and young people come to you all the time, what do I need to do to get in the business? How do I, move forward? And this young guy came to me and said that he wanted to know, what can he do? And I told him, I said, you have something very powerful that I didn't have growing up. You have Google. If you ask Google the right question, you get the right answer. He paused and he looked at me and he said, you know what, John, I don't even know what the right question to ask. And so that made me start thinking. There are a lot of young people who've done tons of music videos or commercials. They just don't know how to move to the next level. They don't know what to do. They don't understand the business of moving to features. And so I realized, one, that I can't direct everything. I realized that. And then two, I can probably produce multiple projects at one time. So I started looking for young people that I felt like was ready to move to the next level, and they just needed kind of that push. And so when I did Ebony Hustle, I thought about Jameis, and so I felt like he was the right person for the job. So
is your budget going to be bigger on the next one?
I hope so. I mean, if the distributors listen to this, that we need, a little bit more money. But, the thing about it is, I always tell people quality has nothing to do with quantity.
True.
Whatever the budget is, I'm going to do the best I possibly can to try to make it work. I'm going to make sure that the story makes sense. And because a lot of times with indie movies, people forgive a lot of things if the story makes sense, if it's flowing properly, if people are engaged with it, they'll forgive a lot of things. But if your story is not really good and your actors are not pulling it off, it doesn't make a difference how much money you spent. They're going to be turned off from it. So I try to focus on the things that I can control. I can control story, and I can control getting the right actors to play those parts. And if I do those things, everything else will kind of come to where it needs to be.
I mean, there's a movie Disney put out years ago called John Carter, and it's a very, very cinematography. And I remember my husband and I started watching it, and I think we got a half hour into it and turned it off. And I mean, it just doesn't matter if the act, like you said, if the acting and the script aren't there. I don't care how pretty it is. Although I will say, The Cell by Jennifer Lopez is a very beautiful movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very bad movie, but it's a very beautiful movie. So you can watch that movie and look at it visually and think it's a piece of art. But the movie itself is not that great.
What is that movie? Disney did that other movie recently where Ava DuVernay and Oprah was in it.
Oh, A Wrinkle in Time.
That was a really nice looking movie, but I
love the book. The book I love. I absolutely adore the book. I read the book when I was in school. Mm-hmm. I did not like the movie.
But the funny thing about that is the first time they did it, it was a flop. So I'm not exactly sure why would you do it the second time. It's been way.
Why? Well, they redid, what was it? Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four movie.
How many times have they done that?
Well, the Fantastic Four movie, the initial one was good.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was the Silver Surfer was kind of in. Then they redid it, and it's just like I didn't even finish watching, and my husband did. He's like, "Well, they could have like cut out 2 hours of it and just had the beginning and the end, and it would have been fine." So I mean, it just all depends, and it's like, okay, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. The first one, it was really good. The second one wasn't too bad. I enjoyed it. The third one wasn't too bad, but then you're starting to get long in the tooth. And guess what? There's another one coming out.
Is it?
Allegedly. But Johnny Depp's not supposed to be in it.
Oh, how does that work?
I don't know.
Yeah, when they do stuff like that, especially when you got somebody who's pretty much carrying the whole picture, how do you do that? You know, I mean, Hollywood is really a lot about intellectual property. How can they manipulate the intellectual property they already own, which I do understand. And so if you already own it, what can I do without having to acquire additional one? I can kind of do whatever. I get that. But a lot of times with a lot of executives in television and film, they're not, I realized this when I came to Houston to work on this courtroom show. I realized that networks and even big record labels, although they traffic in creativity, they're not creative places. They're corporate places. And so a lot of times executives, this is probably the reason why I've done so many music videos back when I was doing music videos, because I worked at a record label and I knew everybody who commissioned the music videos. They want to make sure that whoever they get to do the video, that they'll give them some money and they come back with something they can show their boss, because they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to use their 401k. They don't want to use their PTO. So it's about trust. It's not about how great, even though I think I'm a decent music video director, it's about trust, you know, and a lot of times it's very rare that executives take that leap of faith because they're afraid that if it doesn't, people won't forgive them for it. It takes a very brave person to incorporate either new talent or new ideas. A lot of times they just kind of remanufacture stuff because the numbers are there that says that this would do well. But for someone to be a trailblazer and say, hey, I'm going to use this new guy or this new girl, or I'm going to do an idea that they have not done before, it's very rare. And we don't really get those things, you know.
Well, when I wrote my second book, I wrote it for a contest. And when I got a hold of the contract, that basically said, and I know it's a standard boilerplate contract, it made me pause because it's like, well, if we happen to write a book or publish a book that's similar to yours, you're SOL.
Yeah.
And so I just said to myself, why am I going to hand you the bullets to a gun?
Yes.
I'd rather keep my own property. And I mean, I've talked to people that had a publishing contract, and she would, you know, the one person I talked to, she's like, I was making 10 cents more being published traditionally or less. And I mean, the thing is, it was minor. So it's like, why not keep my own intellectual property, you know? And going back to what we're talking about how Hollywood changes things. I think we've been forgiving, like the Jack Reacher series. How many times has Jack Reacher or James Bond or Batman? We've accepted that they've changed them. Doctor Who, even. I mean,
yes.
I like, see, Tennant's my Who. I mean, Tennant will always.
I'm a baker.
Okay. My husband was a Baker guy. I didn't tune in until the new series. Eccleston I liked, but Tennant was my guy. Matt Smith, he was good. But yeah, I kind of.
What do you think about the new girl? What do you think?
I actually have not seen it.
Really? You're the second person I didn't talk to that have not seen the new girl.
Well, I'll be honest. Peter's episodes, I think the last time we saw one of those, or I got to see it, was when he was playing like the rock god. Mm-hmm. That was like the last one I saw. And then I think we got rid of cable and started streaming. And it was just like, that's why I haven't seen it, because I'm streaming now. I don't.
Well, you can get it on
BritBox?
AMC Plus. AMC
Okay.
Plus.
Okay.
AMC Plus will let you do it. BritBox will do it, but not in the US. Only in the UK you do it there. But if you go on AMC Plus, you could do it. The thing about Doctor Who, I've been looking at Doctor Who since I was 7 years old on PBS. What I loved about Doctor Who is that it was a very cerebral show. Mm-hmm. It was not one of those shows you just like, I'm gonna look at Doctor Who today. If you never see anything else happen, it was like, I'm confused about what's happening. This new reincarnation of it, I do like it because, you know, I look at Doctor Who, but I feel like it's more they've mainstreamed to the point that it's not a cerebral and that it's every show is a one-off. So if you don't know anything about Doctor Who, you can just look at the show and just kind of follow what is happening. I guess from the idea that you want to try to get a new audience to look at it, I get that. But I really do miss the cerebralness of it. I like the language and things they would say. You know, I got a kick out of the campy costumes and the stockings over the face with, you know, that that was just the fun of it, you know. So although I love Doctor Who as a franchise, I have mixed feelings about the girl. I hate to say, you know, but we all have mixed feelings when there's a new doctor, you know. So
I mean, like I said, I'm a Tennant girl. I will be a Tennant girl, you know. And you know, I like Torchwood. I like Torchwood until Stars decided to get a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite episodes of Torchwood is when James Marsden was on there, and the chemistry between him and John Barrowman. That was cool. It was, you know, I'm gonna beat you up, but then I'm gonna rip your clothes off. And it was just, there was the intensity there. That's what sold the scene. And Torchwood had a darkness to it that Doctor Who didn't.
Yes, it did.
But once again, you start spinning off shows and it's not always going to work.
But you know what? The funny thing about it is that Torchwood is probably the only somewhat successful Doctor Who spinoff. It seemed like they would have more. Like they try to do the like it was like a, I guess, limited series, Mary Jane.
Yeah.
They tried to do that. That was kind of okay with the dog, and you know, it was okay. And then they've done like the cartoon, kind of okay. And then not too long ago, they had maybe about a couple of years ago, they had the missed episodes, the ones where they had to kind of piece together, you know, because they didn't have all the footage. That's okay, but it seems like you should be able to come up with. There's so many characters on Doctor Who. You mean tell me nobody can get a good spinoff from it? Or did you see the little kids? They had one with these teenagers. It was like maybe 3 or 4 episodes.
No, I didn't see that, but I heard about that. However, I will say I was amused. I was totally amused when Legends of Tomorrow first started, and Rory was on there.
Yeah,
the guy who plays Rory. I was like, this is amusing as anything.
Yes, I always get a kick out when I see other people like what is the movie with Kevin Hart and Jumanji?
Okay.
And the girl from Doctor Who is
Amy
in
Pond.
Jumanji.
Yep.
Yes. So that always gets a kick out of me. It's like, hey, that's the girl from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
What is she doing? So that's like when they go to different things, it always amazes me. And it just like, it tells me the popularity of Doctor Who is so international that, you know.
I can't think the character's name. She was in Tennant's episode. She was a companion after Rose. She was the doctor. And now she's on Chicago. It's not Chicago Hope, but it's one of the Chicago Med or whatever. One of those.
Really?
Chicago. Yeah.
Oh.
Nadja Freeman's her last name.
Okay,
So,
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah. Because I was like, like you, I will sit there and go, oh, I know that person. And so I totally get it. Back to your movie. So you've made it into some film festivals too, haven't you?
Yeah, so we've gotten 12 film festival nominations. We entered a lot, but we got 12 nominations and 2 wins. It's all the way from the movie to the trailer to the music video.
Nice.
We've really gotten a lot of traction with it. It's been seen pretty much all over the world. We even had one of the festivals they showed the movie at Pinewood Studios in the UK.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was. I wish I could have went, but we were like, we couldn't go to the UK at the time. So, so it has really been received really well. And the thing about it is that a lot of times when people see the movie, they guys are intrigued by the fact that it's about an ex-stripper, so you know they're going to go look at it for that. But once they see this is actually a story, then people are really intrigued by that. It's like, wow, it's actually a story, and then I get all this, you know, other banter about how they like it and everything. So it's really turned into a word of mouth type thing. You know, that is where the movie's at. It's really at a word of mouth thing, and I'm really blessed, and I cannot speak enough about the actors from Michelle Lamb, who played Ebony, to Jess Mitchell, that really connected really well with the character Ebony. And this is really, I've worked on lots of things in my 28 years in this business. This is probably the one thing that I would be most proud of for a very long time. because everything just pretty much just kind of lined up and people just really came to work and it was just so well received, considering the fact that it was not a movie I was trying to do. I was not trying to do like, hey, because everybody has like lists of movies. I got tons of movies and stuff, ideas I want to do that I'm talking with other distributors about. But for something that I was not on my radar, it was not in my plan to do during that time, I'm very just, I guess it's just one of those things where you really have to be open to the universe, bringing things to you, open to the idea. Because when they first said it to me, I was like, no, I don't really want to do a blaxploitation type movie. I really don't want to do that. But I had to kind of like sit back and think about it. And I said, okay, I think that we can do a spin to this. I think we can meet in the middle of what they need and then what I feel like I can give them. So everybody who looks at it, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. All the DMs and the texts I get from people, it is great. I try to respond to everybody, but I'm greatly appreciative of it because once again, there are 24 hours in a day and a lot of things to listen to and look. And if you spend an hour and 30 minutes looking at what I'm doing, I'm grateful for that.
So let me ask you this, because I have books on Amazon. How is it on the film side of Amazon? Is it as I don't want to say painful, but I mean, is there really a financial benefit to being distributed through Amazon?
So we go to a distributor. The distributor pretty much takes care of all that, but just from the things that I have done with Amazon. So the thing about it is that when you put out a project, before you start to do anything, you have to determine what do you want to do with this movie, or what do you do with this TV series? What is it that you want to go? What is your expectation? What is it that the realistic idea where you feel like you want to be? And I categorize projects in two ways. Do you have children?
I had 2 stepchildren, so I mean, kind of.
All right. So you're in the house. You got the kids. You have 2 kids. So one child can't go outside. You're very, very protective of them. They stay in the house. They just look out the window. And the other one is out in the street, running around, going up the block and everything. Projects are either the kids you keep in the house or the kids that you let run down the street. Mm-hmm. And when you go to a distributor or you go with a streaming service, you have to make a determination. What do you determine is success? Is success that you get so many views? Is success that you get so many critical reviews of it? Is success so many people rave about it? What's success to you? So if your idea is that you're trying to use this as a calling card, yes, the streaming services, many eyes as you could possibly do. You want to get it out there. But if you're trying to get a critical acclaim, then you probably need to go to certain services and certain distributors because that's what their focus is. So I ask filmmakers all the time, well, what child is this? You keeping this? If it's in the house, then you're going to keep it hard. I don't want anybody to change it. But if it's the kids you can play on the street, make a name for yourself, then definitely go there. So Amazon is good with that. Like any streaming service, it's about marketing. What is your marketing plan? What are you going to do about that? Because it's just not this. If you just put it up there, I guarantee you, very few people will look at it. Yeah. Very few people, if any. And then probably all the people you know because you tell them to look at it. But if you want people to really engage with it, then you really have to have a marketing plan on how you plan to do this. It doesn't have to be, a lot of times people feel like you need to spend an exorbitant amount of money. You just got to be strategic about who you talk to and what's your general plan. Like, for example, with Ebony Hustle. With the 9 product placement companies, it's just not me getting product for them. It's a marketing partnership. Mm-hmm. So every 3 weeks, there's a new company where we do this. We have a scene from the movie. Like the first one with Guidance Whiskey say, who called Ebony after she had her shot of Guidance Whiskey and a coffee that morning? So that means 2 things. They have to go look at the movie to answer the question, and then they come back and put the answer online. So they get the stream, the product gets the recognition. So now they got to go back and see the product in there, and they make the connection to the product. So we're going to do that for like 9 companies. Nice. So that's a constant, all these social media, they have at least about 10 to 20,000 followers across the social media platform. Some have lots more. But every time, 3 weeks, when we have a new little clip, a new advertising, they see that to that particular audience. I couldn't ask for more. So if you got 30,000 followers on your social media and you post that there, Those people would never saw me. They don't know me. They wouldn't know nothing about my movie. Now you just put them in front of your audience. The next 3 weeks, I go in front of this product placement company. Hey, here's a question about your product. Go look at this movie. I'm constantly creating new audiences every single week to push it forward. And you have to have some type of agenda doing it. If not, it's just going to sit somewhere.
Right. And I get that as a writer, because that's where I fall short, is the marketing. But yeah, just books are my baby. So I completely understand your analogy. Mm-hmm. The fact that you took on smaller companies, because I guarantee you, Coke would not be pimping you out. You know that. If you went with a bigger company, they're not going to sit there and do this with you. Where with you're dealing with somebody that is a smaller upstart, they're willing to hustle, because it's all about making that connection and growing that business.
Yes. And it's so important. Like anything, it's about people do business with people that they like. They connect with people that they like, and they feel like it's a vested interest in them to participate. I talked to about 200 different companies, so everybody didn't say yes. I guarantee you, some people, you send them a message or email and say, hey, I want to do product placement movie. They're like, okay, somebody's playing. Nobody wants my product in the movie for real. And so once you get past all of that, what I usually do is once I actually get them to respond and we're having banter, I set up a Zoom call with them so they can see I'm a real person, that I'm not just making something up. And then the thing about it is, which it makes a lot of people don't understand, I don't charge them for it. I don't charge them. Because I figured that we're going to both help each other. Now, in the future, when we do other stuff, obviously, if we grow, then, there'll be some money in between us. But for the start the relationship, to show you the vision of what I'm trying to do, I think that's more important than anything.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a very important way to build a relationship and to have them come back and participate again.
Yes. Yeah, so they're all eager, they're all happy. I see the responses, like, oh my God, I'm so glad it's out. And I've been telling y'all, I can't pay for that. There's no way for me to pay for that type of excitement, that partnership with them, to get people to look at my movie. Because me just going to people and say, look at it is really not, my social media is only so big, but all these individual people encouraging other people to look at something because they feel good. They already believe in their products because they buy it. And now they're telling them to buy into something else. It's priceless.
Yeah. It's worth its weight in gold.
Yes, it is. So
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm finished.
No, I was going to say, when is your planned production for the next movie? I mean, I know you got the ideas, but you got to write a script. So
we have a couple of things. COVID has slowed down a lot. The fact that we got the movie done is great, but we're behind, and because of startups, and then we had to stop because of COVID. So the next movie that we do plan to do is a movie called False Prophets. False Prophets is about a woman whose father owns a church who sets up this Ponzi scheme. She goes to people who tells her that if your credit is bad to do a house, if you pay me a certain amount, I guarantee you get a house, which is all a Ponzi scheme. And so she goes and it's based off of actually a real story. Loosely. There was an MSNBC episode on American Greed. Okay. About a woman who did that. And so it's kind of loosely based off. It's not exactly the same because I don't want to take the woman's story, but it's kind of based on the idea of that. What she uses the money for in our story is that she's having a lesbian relationship with this woman. Okay. And the reason why that's important is because the movie starts off where she's engaged to get married to this guy. And they're all in the church. And the guy, she wants to have premarital sex, and the guy doesn't want to do that. He wants to wait. So now she's sexually frustrated. So she goes to her sister and says, I need help. I need to find a trainer so I can get into this dress. And she suggested someone to her, and make a long story short, she ends up, having an affair with this woman. So it's a lot of intrigue. It's a lot of moving pictures. It's a lot of moving levels. There's her older brother and sister who are part of the church. They're also part of a singing group. So it's a lot of music involved. And so we're hoping that in January we can start shooting that. And we have a couple of television shows too that we are working on too. So everything seems to be moving forward, as long as, after Christmas, the president doesn't come down and say, we're all locked back
Well, that's what I'm fearing, because they're talking about how this is just spreading so quickly now. So hopefully we won't be locked down again. But
Yeah, you know what the fun thing about it is that this week I'm taking me and my daughter. We're going on a cruise. We're supposed to go on a cruise for Christmas, and I am like, I'm really anticipating going, but at the same time, I think today the president is supposed to have a conversation about COVID. So I'm not exactly sure what he's going to say about that.
I don't know. And all we can do is hold on to our hats.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a never ending nightmare.
Yeah, it is. So I'm considered fully vaccinated. I haven't got the booster shot yet. They said they were going to reformulate the booster shot so it would work better. So I guess we're waiting for that. But I don't know. It's one of those things to where you just kind of like, I don't want to put my life on hold, but at the same time, I have to move forward.
But, since we talked about the universe so much, maybe COVID, think about how it's changed the job market. Think about how it's changed a lot of things, the way people interact, it's opened up a whole new world for a lot of people. But then again, it's also made people stop and go, okay, what really matters in life? Yes.
What's really important? I know for me, the one thing that's changed greatly is the fact that I would travel a lot, and I most of my stuff is Zoom. I don't really travel that much, which is good and bad. I like physically sitting and talking to people to see how they, how we connect, the chemistry. The other thing that it has done is that I spend more time at home with just my family. I just basically having conversations. Not that we didn't really talk before, but when you're around somebody, you get to really know them, because you don't really go and do a lot of the things you're out and events and stuff like that. You spend more time with your family. So that is probably really important to me. So I think we will come out of this, whenever we come out, with some positive things about connecting with each other and what's important. The other flip side of that, I don't want to be in a situation, because we don't physically connect with people, that we turn a society where everybody's Zooming and FaceTime each other. Yeah. Don't really physically get to,
But think about it. Even people with the grocery store and everything, it's like, I'm not setting foot in a grocery store. I'm not going to go do this. Mm-hmm. But you are losing that physical connection. I haven't been out to eat in a restaurant since 2019.
Really?
Really. Oh. And I'll be honest, I have not been vaccinated, but I am one of those people that are immunocompromised, that my doctor has said no. Mm-hmm. When she decides, because I have really bad allergies to medication. So at a certain point, hopefully, either we have herd immunity or I'll be living my life as a hermit for the rest of my life.
I hope not.
But it's one of those things where I can take the vaccine, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. My thing was, because I didn't initially go and take the vaccine. My thing was, and I had to my thing was the fact that the FDA hadn't approved it. And I said, when they approve it, then that's when I take it. Then they approved it, so I already didn't have an argument anymore. So I didn't get it.
Okay, so we talk about the universe. So I was going to schedule my appointment for the vaccine. I was sitting there, and I knew I had a doctor's appointment later in the week. So I had the time picked out. I was going to click to book it, and something told me, wait. Mm. And so I waited, and I went to my doctor, and she's like, oh no. She's like, you are one of the top 10. I am scared to take this vaccine at this point for you. Mm. And she works at a teaching hospital. So for her to actually say, and I've been diagnosed with some other issues. So it's like, I don't know.
Because, this is a vaccine. I know that they try to say that, they've been working on these type of vaccines for a long time, and the process and technology has changed a lot. But honestly, you really don't know. You just don't know. It's not enough history in that for you to really know. I've taken all the other vaccines.
Yeah.
I've done that. So I'm not against vaccines, but it's just like, when I took the second shot, I didn't necessarily get sick. I got brain fog. Okay. And even today, it could be just I'm getting older. I don't know. But my memory of stuff, it really slips. And I have to figure out, why did I come in this room, or what's this person's name? You know, I'm a relatively good health. I don't have any problems. I take vitamins every day, you know, so I don't have any issues. But why is it that I can't remember stuff? You know, that's scary.
It is. It's very scary. And I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, I've taken all my other vaccines that I have to take. It's just, I was on a blood pressure pill since I was 27 years old. And in my 40s, I started developing a rash from it.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies change. So if my doctor is sitting there saying, well, for now, as long as you're okay with wearing a mask, okay. And I have worn a mask since before they mandated them.
Yeah.
But it's something because, last October, not this past one, but the one before last, I was all excited because I finally got my passport. I'm like, one day I'm going to go to London. I've been wanting to go to London all my life. This is what I'm going to do. And then now it's just kind of like, wah, wah. I mean, things will change eventually, hopefully. But, when you look at how divisive this whole thing has become, it's scary. It really is. Because I'm not vaccinated, I'm marked into this whole nasty thing that, allegedly we were taking vaccines to protect the people that couldn't take it. Yeah. And now it's like everybody that can't take one is a leper.
Yeah.
I still can't, I don't know if it was Stern or Gene Simmons that said that, but they were like, they all should be shipped to Mississippi. I'm like, what?
The thing about it is that we're already in a society that was a lot of cases divided in some ways. Now you're really creating this whole separate society of people who can't fully participate. And I do understand the health concerns that you're trying to do and why, but there has to be a better way of doing it. There has to be a better way of communicating what needs to get done, because the communication has not been very effective. We as Americans traditionally, when the government traditionally tells us certain things, we take it at face value, but that's what it's supposed to do. But then when all this other stuff come out, you start to question who you really can believe. And that makes it really hard to move forward in life when you don't know who to believe, who's telling the truth. How do you just don't know, And the thing about it is they initially at the beginning of it, I'm gonna say this and stop talking about this, is that at the beginning when they were toting all these famous people, politicians, who had taken the vaccine, I told somebody, I said, let me tell you something. There's a big difference between regular people and rich people. So the fact that they get the shot means very little to nothing to me, because I don't know what they're giving them, and we're not this. It's not the same. There's no like, oh, they're just like me. No, they're not.
George Carlin.
You said what?
George Carlin said it the best. It's a boys' club, and you don't belong to it.
That's right. So you showing me, hey, this person got it. This person got it. Okay. What does that mean? They probably came to his house to give him something. I have to go stand in line with 1,000 other people. I don't know what you're doing.
It's marketing.
Yeah, it is. So, so it's. I
mean, we can sit here. I was talking to somebody about this because after 9/11, you couldn't bring toenail clip. You couldn't bring certain things on a plane. And my husband had a manicure kit, a male manicure kit, and they made him take out the little scissors.
Yes.
Throw them away. Okay. Well, we were fortunate enough to have a first class flight.
Okay.
I chalk this up to being political theater, because we get down, we sit down in the nice oversized chairs, and they bring us a lovely glass, stemware glass of a drink. Then they serve us a meal with a knife that has serrations on it.
Yes.
And I just looked at my husband and I said, well, I guess terrorists don't sit in first class.
Obviously not. They don't. They're providing you with doable weapons.
Yes.
They don't really see it as that. So it is political theater. It is a semblance of security, but you can't give me a glass and a knife and say, hey, you can't bring your glass and knife.
Right. But they do. They do. And it's not like first class is really sectioned off from the rest of the plane.
No, it's just a curtain.
Yeah. I mean, unless that curtain's got some magical properties we don't know about, I'm not sure what's going on.
No, it does not.
I was blown away by this, because I'm like, you're telling me, I mean, because some of them, like if I went to New Orleans and I went through, my underwire would set off the security. And of course, then you get pulled out. And it's just like, you're telling me you're giving me this. And of course, you can't say if you said something like that on the plane. Well, the air marshal's taking you into custody because.
So we're returning to a society where it's like you just don't not to say anything. If somebody goes to the TSA and they say something about bomb, don't say nothing about blow. Why would you say that? Because not 900 people are going to converge on you.
Mm-hmm. So
we're in a society where we have to follow these rules that they're trying to push us through. Follow these rules. Pay attention to what you're doing. As long as you do these things, you won't have any problems. If you decide to have an independent mind at any particular moment, then we're going to have a problem with you.
Well, and let's think about this, because you're in the entertainment industry. Our 24-hour news cycle is now infotainment.
Yeah, it is. It's not really news. They're all kind of swayed one way or the other. When I look at certain news channels, they're so pushed to one particular area. Now, CNN, they call themselves trying to do the balance to some degree, but they still kind of feed people stuff. They kind of like, you see them like, don't you think blah, 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 or you're feeding him that. And then you go to the other channels, they're either really left or they're really right. So there used to be this law about the fair and balance that you have to tell both sides. And I really didn't like it because regardless of what you think, you get to see both sides of it. But when they took that away, now people already believe what they see on TV, which is, as you and I know, it's all fantasy and made up. They're not really journalists a lot of times. They're entertainers, and so they don't really book themselves as journalists. I'm used to Walter Cronkite getting on TV, and he's a journalist. He's asking questions. He's investigating. They have people invest. That's what I'm looking for. But that's not what we're getting. We're getting entertainment because they figure, well, I'm trying to sell stuff. They're trying to sell things. So if I'm trying to sell things, then I have to entertain people. If I tell people exactly everything that's happened, it's the reason why there's no commercials on C-SPAN. Nobody's trying to sell nothing on C-SPAN.
No, and here's the thing. Besides ratings, they create this divisiveness, and when it goes back to the point you were making earlier, is what are we being distracted from seeing?
Yeah. And
it's not that I'm not anti-American. I love our country, but it's just one of those things where it's like you got to look at the bigger picture. We're looking there. Apparently the Gen Zs and the millennials are out for Biden because of the fact that he, back in his early tenure as a senator, decided that you couldn't bankrupt on student loans and then continue to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I look at it this way. The people that are in power have no clue of what it is like to live a normal life.
Yeah.
They have no concept. And I laugh because they give senior citizens and people on disability a raise. Okay. But then everything else goes up. And it's not, and you're in the hole now from that raise.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's a really wacky world we live in.
Yeah. It does not make any sense, but it makes, if you're a person, if you live in a certain echelon and you make a certain amount of money, the stuff that we deal with on a daily basis, that's not really what their concerns are. So that's not something that I see now, like in Congress, when they just seem to can't. I remember when people used to, congressmen, senators, they had difference of opinion, but they came to a compromise. They were like, okay, I know I want you to make me 10 sandwiches and you're not going to make 10 sandwiches. How many sandwiches would you be okay with? Well, what about if I give you 5? Would you take 6? Okay, we got a deal. Now it's like, I want 10 sandwiches. If you don't make me 10 sandwiches, we're not doing nothing.
And you just gotta wonder though, if they don't do all this theater and then they walk out and go to the bar and have a drink.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. You have to think that they, at some level, they all understand the process. So it's a game. So they all understand that. So it seems to me that they would know that, and I don't know. I just don't know what they're really doing, because it makes no sense. It's like, what's really going on?
Well, you have to. We banned bribery, but then we created lobbyists.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same thing. It's the same thing, So when somebody is so stuck in their ways, I'm like, well, what's really going on? Is somebody trying to pay them to do something? Is somebody intimidating? I tell people all the time, if I don't do something, there's a reason why I don't do it. It's not just because I don't feel like it. It's like there's a reason why. And if you ask me, well, this is the reason why I don't want to do that. But if you ask politicians why to do that, it's like, I just don't think it's the right thing. You don't think. So you can't do anything. You can't figure out. You even teach your kids to compromise. If they go to the store and they want all these toys, say no, just pick the one toy that we came here for. You can't have all the toys.
It's because they write these bills. They have all this pork in it. They have, Alec, who's writing the Republican side of things. They're not even writing their own bills. Somebody in a think tank's giving them this stuff, and then their corporate donors are going, "Here you go. You better please me, otherwise you're not getting reelected." And everybody's like, "Oh well, we need term limits." Why? Term limits is not going to fix it, because then they're just going to bribe the new person they're bringing in. Oh, excuse me, lobby.
Eddie Murphy had a movie called Distinguished Gentleman. Mm-hmm. There's a scene in the movie where the guy asks him, "Are you for sugar subsidies?" He said, "Should I be for them or against them?" He said, "I have money for them from the candy manufacturers. I have money against them from the dentist. So you pick what side you want, because whatever side you pick, I can get you money for it."
There you go.
So how do everyday people fight against that when there's so much money and push and pressure to do? It's pretty much a bidding war. So whoever has the highest bid will get whatever they want. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I digress.
Well, before we end, I do have to ask, because since you're a movie guy, and there is a new movie coming out this week, and I'm not sure you're going to be interested in seeing it or not. The new Matrix movie.
I am interested because I'm the guy who likes the big budget movies. I like the big. Mm-hmm. I like that, even though I don't do those. I do enjoy the entertainment of movies. I'm interested in seeing it because but when I look at the trailer and the whole concept, it's pretty much, it looks like the old Matrix, but they just got regular clothes on. That doesn't look like.
And here's the thing: the very first Matrix movie was incredible, because after I watched it, it goes back to your Doctor Who thing. It made me sit there and think, going, "Is this reality?" Yeah. The others, they were entertaining, but they weren't as good. And I'm not sure, because Agent Smith isn't there. Mm-hmm. There was that whole drivenness between Neo and Agent Smith that really kept the movies going. So I don't know. I want to see it, but then again, it's like,
I want to see it, but it's like movies are, when people ask me about, am I going to see a movie, I try to make a determination between a couple of things. Is this a movie that I need to go to the movie theater for? Is this a movie I need to go to the matinee for? Can I wait till it gets on TV, or can I just stream it? So The Matrix, I would like to see it in a movie theater just because of the sounds and everything. Yeah. But if for some reason I don't I'm okay with looking at it at home. I'll be okay with that. But I did go see yesterday. I went to go see Spider-Man.
Okay.
And I did like it. Sometimes Hollywood has a way of, Spider-Man is a very action-driven movie. It's like something's happening to thing. But sometimes Hollywood try to find ways to do this feel-good thing in it. So it's kind of Spider-Man trying to help these people be good again. I guess it's an okay line. I liked it because it's Spider-Man, and we pretty much have been pinned out for something really big. We really haven't had anything really big. I saw Venom. Venom was really good. But you like Venom?
Actually, I just got that from the library, Venom and the sequel.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be my movies this week.
Yeah, it's real. You know what? The first one, it's one of those things to where we talked about before about somebody taking a chance, and it's a movie that the story is good, the characters are believable. What I like about Spider-Man, this particular incarnation of Spider-Man, is that the guy who plays Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, I believe him. I believe that he is Spider-Man. The people in the past, Tobey Maguire, maybe, whatever. But he acts like a teenager. I believe him. And that's really hard to get characters to make you believe them. And Venom, I believe that this guy is having some issues. I believe that. And that's hard. So that's that executive seeing this and taking a chance.
Yeah.
You don't get that too much.
No. And that's kind of why I've made a decision as a writer. It's like, I'm writing my books for me. I write more or less realistic fiction. My second book was a rock star romance, but it's like, most of my books aren't rock star romance. And I'm not going to sit here. and as a filmmaker, you know this, when you start looking at what people want, you can sit there and go into a Facebook group and listen to everybody say what they want. And the fact of the matter is, everybody's got a different opinion. So if you're really going to do a project, whether it be a movie, music video, a book, you have to write it for you.
Yeah, nobody is. First of all, with anything creative, I've never done anything creative where it came out exactly the way I wanted to come out. Never.
True.
I've never done that.
True.
Secondly, no matter what you do, there's always to be somebody who's going to be a critic about what they didn't like about it. So the best thing is just kind of do what you think is right, and try to have a solid story. And that's all I really can do, because no matter if you can have spent $1 billion, somebody, Titanic, we all agree that that's a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee there's a critic somewhere who has an issue with the Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody has a problem with that. The Star Wars, original Star Wars, we all agree pretty much those are, culturally, we like them. Somebody somewhere, I think they're garbage. Somebody says that. I know that somebody said that somewhere, So you're never going to satisfy everybody. The best thing you probably do is just do the best and just put it out there and just kind of be what it's going to be.
And one thing to add would be the Star Wars thing is back to the universe. It's that force that binds us all together.
Yes, it is. It is.
So this has been a great conversation. Is there anything that I haven't covered? All your notes will be, or your links will be in the show notes. Is there anything else that you want to cover before we sign off?
No, just I think, everybody goes to see Ebony Hustle. They can also see my other movie, Red All Over, which is available pretty much anywhere if you Google it. But I love the support. I try to comment and respond to all the texts and things I get from people. So as always, stay focused and determined.
John's story is pretty amazing, because the fact that he took $20,000, 7 days, and created this project. I mean, granted, it takes more than 7 days to put it all together, but to film. And now it's out there. It's been in film festivals, it's won awards, and it's on multiple streaming platforms. For an indie, this is a big, big deal. And even his journey, I like his fact that he looks at the universe and, not everything is meant for him. And that's kind of a different take on the whole thing of, well, I'm manifesting good. Well, you also have to understand that not everything is meant for you. Sometimes, even if we want it so badly, it isn't ours. And we have to accept that and be okay with it. The conversation, as always, took some twists and turns and Doctor Who. And, I love conversations that just are open and they go wherever. And I think it's kind of important that we have these conversations about life, because life right now is so different than it used to be. And if you can see the connection that we all have, well, that's kind of important. So as always, I thank you for tuning into the Better To podcast. I definitely say check out Ebony Hustle. It's important that you do, because it supports an indie filmmaker. And as he said, as long as the story's good and the acting's good, that's what matters. And you go on a ride, you go for the enjoyment of it. And on that note, if you have a question or would like to be a guest on the podcast, or even a comment, you can reach out to me at Dauna@better2podcast.com. That's DAUNA at better2podcast.com. All our social links are on the Better To Podcast website, and all the episodes. If you missed an episode, there's a lot to catch up on now. So that'll keep you entertained for hours. And I do mean hours. So I thank you again, as always, for tuning in. It's much appreciated. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye. You are listening to the Better To podcast with DM Needham.